And we do have somebody. Welcome everyone. We have one visitor so far joining us. Welcome to our Growth You webinar series. We love to provide real, tangible solutions for you to support you in all of the roles in your life. And so, our mission is really to help individuals uncover their truest selves, one person at a time. And we have supported thousands of people through our programs over the years that Rod Hairston and his team have built. And I have a very special guest today, Mr. Lonnie Holley, coming to us from Washington, the state of Washington, just south of Seattle, close to Tacoma. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I'm Denise Mend. I'm here in Naramata, BC, Canada. And both Lonnie and I have been advisors and master trainers at Growth U for over 5 years. We've been participating in Growth U for close to 10. And we just love talking about the models that we use and supporting people with those models. So today is all about supporting healthcare professionals. And so between Lonnie and I, Lonnie has been a nurse and a nurse manager, a traveling nurse for over 25 years and supported patients from childhood to geriatrics and everywhere in between. He's worked all over the world. I'm a physical therapist in my other profession, have worked for over 30 years supporting patients in a very similar time, year range from little to old and everything in between. And what we discovered is when we started to use some of the tools that Growth U offers in supporting people where they are and in alignment, it brought our ability to support those people and help those patients to a whole new level. So the title of this webinar was My Patients Don't Listen to Me. And, hands up, with patients that,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And that we just struggled to reach them. So Lonnie and I, started talking about this webinar over a month ago because we felt there was such a need. So whether you're joining us live or whether you are watching this on replay, we know you're going to go away with some very tangible tools to support you in your patients actually hearing what you have to say, and also you hearing what your patients have to say. So Lonnie, tell me a little bit about how, we talked about one model in particular that I'm going to pull up in a moment. And, talk about how you noticed your patients. I mean, number one, they're often just trying to get their basic needs met before we even talk about anything at a higher level communication. So tell us a little bit about where you assess where your patients are at using Maslow, because I know that's one of your favorite models. Yeah.
I I don't somewhere along the line of my career, I started noticing the best way I can describe it, kind of like succinctly, is that big doors swing on small hinges. And so I noticed a lot of right. I noticed a lot of passion and desire to want to help people, to identify different social groups that may need a little equilibrium in their care. And I noticed that there was this little bottleneck. There was something that kept things from really progressing the way that they needed to when I would share with a person who had diabetes after many, many weeks of training and them coming in to sit down with me to talk about their diagnosis and what everything means. And we have a beautiful plan together. They go out to start this plan. And when they come back, it's like someone took a box of Legos and just shook everything up. And things didn't go according to plan. And in many cases, it was hard to nail down exactly what was going wrong. Was it someone in the family sabotaging this person? Was it, the person just was obstinate and defiant? And I really kind of couldn't put my hand on exactly what it was. Even when, just kind of looking at a person needing to move out of this space of crisis and almost pain and a low level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or when you start looking at their safety dynamics, and everything was okay there. They had great family relationships, and there weren't any problems there. Sometimes it would be someone like an engineer with a very, very high view of themselves, and they had achieved a lot, and still it was like this space where there's just something off, and I didn't know how to move that person ahead until I came into contact with some of this work.
Yeah. And, I mean, number one, we want people to feel safe when they're with us, right? And so when we go up the ladder of Maslow's, are they getting fed? Are they, do they have adequate hydration? Are they in a safe space? Do they have safe people, right? All the things you just mentioned. And then when they're in our space, whether it's in hospital or whether it's in clinic, and perhaps they're coming and going, what are they really looking for, right? And so the model that I'm going to pull up, let me just share my screen, is one that Rod developed with his team recently. And I'm going to make it big. Here we go. And this is one that both Lonnie and I have found really, really helpful in aligning with patients. And we're going to talk about some specific alignment tools in a moment. And I think that this model is worth talking about. And so, Lonnie, that first level of this model is the growth awareness model of engagement. Most of our patients are going to be coming in at this first level. So tell us a little bit about relief.
So when we look at relief, I look at this, there's so many ways that I see this model and things kind of in a pyramid format. And when I look at this, the first thing I think of is an iceberg. Where we are coming into contact with a patient, with clients often, is here in relief. And one step down is crisis. And there are a lot of people who don't know how to manage crisis, and it's one crisis after the another. And for a person who does not live in that space, it's hard to wrap your head around a person who seems like they're moving from one ambulance car to the next ambulance car to the next ambulance car. And even if they can get their head up and kind of catch their breath, when you're coming in contact with that person, you're coming in contact with them in this space of relief. So maybe they finally got their medication for diabetes adjusted after they had an episode of DKA, or maybe they said that they were going to stop drinking and they really meant it, and they're working on it, but it may be slower than some other people may find acceptable in their process. But they're coming to us from this place of almost like catching their breath. And you'll see this a lot of times in ministry. When people show up to the church, they are often coming there because they're seeking relief. With coaching and our clients, who are many times coming out of crisis, and they're finally able to accept help from the outside, is because they're starting at this base layer here on this model.
And then as we go up the model, belonging, if we see patients again and again, they may have had most of their pain relief needs met. And now that next level, they're looking for some kind of connection. We know that loneliness is in epidemic proportions. The more connected we are, it seems like the more alone many people feel. And so when people get into belonging, and now this gets to our next level of thinking about aligning, with our patients, right? Because likely our patients are not, I mean, they might be achieving and becoming, which means that they're really trying to get some goals met. And perhaps, my patients are, maybe they want to get stronger to meet goals in a race, or maybe they want to have a program built for them to, get back to walking, or one of my patients just wanted to be able to lift their grandkids up and play on the floor with their grandkids, right? Whatever that looks like. And I know your patients may have some different achieving needs. And those patients often we're not seeing right away. We're likely seeing them for pain relief and or belonging. So talk a little bit, Lonnie, about how you align with somebody who now you have a relationship with, you've seen them a few times, and they're there to connect with you. They're there to belong in the space.
So what I noticed, and what I've practiced for a real long time, is listening to a person really deeply and being able to see pictures in my head. So when they come back to see me, or when they're back in an environment with me, I give them exactly what they need in regards to the information they shared with me last. Perhaps they told me that they had a grandchild that was born not too long ago. I remember that because when that person comes in, there's I don't know, there's just a certain warmth that comes from a baby. And so there are little particulars like that that allows me to kind of move just a little more deeply into a person's life, because what I realize is that people are often in this world accepted. People are often, we do this very well, and it's a good thing, and at the same time it's not necessarily fulfilling, and that's that people are tolerant. So we tolerate each other, but we don't always accept each other. And so in that way, they don't really feel like like they're a part of anything. And there are a lot of people in the world that feel like they're just kind of floating around by themselves. I think one of the it was kind of startling to me to observe about myself one day when I was in the room on social media and I was looking at a thread and I was just literally laughing out loud. And I don't know what happened, but then I stopped for a second and I looked around the room and looked at the device in my hand, and I realized that I was laughing in an empty room. Right. And so, although there's a more connectedness than there has ever been, there are more people that feel alone because they don't feel like they belong. They feel like they're in a place where they're just fitting in. And when there's so many other people fitting in, it it just feels normal.
Yeah, you said when I see somebody and I remember, right, the next time I see them that they had a grandbaby, or I remember their birthday, or remember what they were doing, right? That matters, right? When we connect with our patients, and I will often write things down in the chart. I mean, we actually have digital charts now, and so it reminds us when people's birthdays are. And I will write a note about some special things that have happened to them, so that the next time they come, which might be a month from now or 6 months from now, I can circle back to that. And that matters when we remember details about people's lives, because yeah, we're meeting a primary emotional need, which is connection, right? Yeah. How are some other ways that you connect to your patients on that level?
When I am really, really working to connect with my patients, I know that some people say you shouldn't make a difference with those individuals that you are working with. And the truth is, I do make a difference. I make a difference because there are some of my patients who are very high achieving and they want to be treated like that. And then I have other patients who, when I am in their space, they really want to be treated like family. And I know what I'm dealing with when I feel that type of energy. There are others who come in into my space and they're interested in learning, but they're kind of apprehensive because they have been in spaces where medical care comes with a person who feels they're a bit superior to them and can kind of be condescending. And then I have those other people who come in sometimes, Denise, and they're just like, I don't know, they're just like a plant. They care about the world, they care about the earth, they care about others so much. And when I make these particular differences with people and treat them as the individuals that they are, you'll be amazed at how well things begin to kind of connect and align for you as a practitioner.
Yeah, so I love that. And what Lonnie just brilliantly did is he actually just talked about some main sort of archetypes of patients that we will see, right? So he talked about the VIP who's really looking for significance, one of our other primary emotional needs. He talked about somebody who wants to be family, likely their primary emotional need in the interaction is connection. He talked about somebody who might be a little scared. Well, they just need a big old hug. They need some love, right? And then he talked about somebody who just, they just want to help everybody else and they're focused on others. So this gets to one of our key tools in aligning with people is listening, right? So how many of us in our busy work days, and some of you who are watching this may work in a hospital environment where you are run off your feet, you don't have enough time in your shift to get all your tasks done, and the patients that you're seeing it's like a big list to get done. Versus, I have the luxury of seeing people in 45-minute or an hour slots. Lonnie right now is working with students and he gets lots of great time with those children. And so depending on your environment, you may not have as much time to really be able to connect with your patients. And what we are highly recommending that you do is to look for some clues, right? And Lonnie just gave you a few of them, right? And when we focus on the patient more than ourselves, we will pick up on those clues, right? So using focus on others and listening is so crucial. And then one of our big superpowers is asking questions. So Lonnie, what are some of your favorite questions with patients that are new to figure out where they are? Are they a VIP? Are they, are they looking for family connection? Are they scared? And, most of you your healthcare practitioners out there will have some really great questions. And we hope that you'll learn a few new ones. So Lonnie, what are some ones that you really use to figure out what category some of these people are in?
Well, sometimes, and with most of them, I like to start off with how they learn. How do you learn best? And I like to identify if they are more visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And then after that, I will ask them questions to identify if they have any type of fear or anxiety, or if they are um, a type of person who they don't really have a whole lot of time. They know what they want, they know where they are, they've done the research, and they are not interested in anything that's kind of on the out of bounds. They know what should be going on. And then I have others who are like that, and at the same time they're interested in playing ball a bit more. And then you have those who the only way sometimes they'll move along is because they believe that if they don't take care of themselves, Denise, they'll be letting somebody else down. So some of those questions I like to ask are around fear points. I like to ask questions around pain points to see where an individual is. I like to ask questions around uh, contribution to the world. That's one of my favorite questions. When a person comes in into my world, I like to ask them, "What do you get to do for the world?" And the way a person responds to that question and answers that question tells me so so much. Because if they're like, well, what I get to do to the world is to be a proud mother of two and grandmother of eight, that tells me so much of what I need to do. Or if a person says, well, I don't know if it's what I get to do for the world or not, but I don't know how much you know about me. And then if they go into a very specific way of being, then those things tell me a lot about where a person is. So one of my favorite questions to lead in with is to ask a person uh, frankly about themselves and what contribution they believe that they feel they're making to the world.
Mm. Oh, I love that. And, and one question that I love to ask when people first come in, I mean, number one, I will always say thank you for coming in, because if
Mm.
they didn't come in, then I don't get to support anybody, right? So the fact that they're coming to see me is a gift, I believe. And then I always just say, well, if they're new, I'm like, what really brings you, what do you deeply need today from this? What is it that you really deeply need from our time together today? And a lot of the times people just say, I just want this pain to go away, right? In my line of work, often people have some kind of pain, and that's a pretty common answer. And there's some really interesting answers that come up. So I love your one, what do you do for the world? Now, if you're supporting people with like a plan of action, what are some ways that you continue to ask them questions to align to ensure that they've understood what you have laid out for them?
I ask often how difficult they believe achieving this specific set of goals would be. I look for other places in their life where they may already have a similar regimen or style. And what I'm working to do in those cases is just to see who they are at their core. Because where a person is at their core, if they're doing something every day and you can stack onto that, it's going to make the outcome a lot easier versus if you're introducing something, if they're normally taking their medications, the majority of their medications at 9 in the morning, and now you put in something that needs to be taken in the evening, um, that may be a bit more difficult for them because it's not a part of who they are on an ongoing long-term basis. So those are some of the questions that I kind of start asking to see where they are, because there is a way for us to kind of move the pebble a little bit um, for a person just in small increments instead of giving them almost this big bang uh, kind of approach to changing whatever their regimen is.
Yeah. Yeah. We both like stepping, don't we? Like
Yeah.
small bits at a time. Yeah. So, a lot of our patients are going to fall into the fearful categories, particularly when it's their first visit. So what is something that you find really helpful with these patients? So they are definitely focused on themselves. They're scared. They don't know what to do. That's why they're often there seeking our help. And they are getting their certainty from us, right? They're coming to us for the answer. So that person is going to need a lot of love. And how do you support those people? Like, how do you interact with them versus a VIP who's like, I know what I want. This is what I want. This is the kind of treatment I want. And when you give it to them, they're quite happy, right? But
Right.
the person
Right.
is fearful and doesn't know what to do. How do you interact with them differently?
Often what I do to align with a person who's coming in from, and there's two sides of this. There's this learner who is afraid to open up because they don't want to be looked down upon. And so they're kind of in this not really sure state. And then you have this person who's just outright terrified, and that they present in a couple of different ways. So sometimes their nervous energy makes it seem like they know everything, and then they really don't, or they can just have that deer in the headlights look. With a person like that, I often do a couple of things. I'll ask them what they've tried before. Most of the time, they've tried everything. They've done all of the things and nothing has worked. They've been on diets and they haven't told anybody. And at some point they find themselves hiding behind their desk, eating a chocolate chip cookie, and they have no idea why they're in this place. And so what I often will do is, if I can form a really, really strong bond with that person, I'll ask them to borrow from my belief. I'll ask for them to borrow from my absolute rock solid confidence in this idea that we can make it happen. I've been there. I've done it. And if they just work with me, I can make it happen for them, right? And the results won't be mine. The results will be 100% theirs if they just go along with me for a little while.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it gives them I don't know, it just gives them a sense of confidence.
I love that. I mean, number one, asking them what they've tried before, because we don't want to offer solutions that haven't worked for them, right? That's not going to go over well. And then number two, giving them unconditional support, right? That you are there with them every step of the way. So those people that are scared, which is often our patients, they need, number one, us to hear their story.
Right.
And number two, for us to say, I've got you, I believe you, and we're going to go through this together, right? Every step of the way, I'm going to support you. And so, and putting that belief into them is so powerful. I love that. I mean, Lonnie, I could talk about this with you for hours. And I'm mindful of time, and I know that we wanted to keep this under half an hour. So is there anything else as we finish up? You know, number one, we want to really look at where people are at. We want to ask questions to see what they're seeking from us, and what kind of state they're in, whether they're scared or whether they're looking for connection, or whether they're just a VIP that's in there and they know what they want. And then we are there listening with not only our ears, but with our heart. So anything else that you have found really helpful to align with patients so they hear what you have to say?
Well, I could answer that question, Denise, and I'm kind of play spin doctor here, because I want to deliver on this webinar the highest level of value possible. I have been around you for a while, and I have been able to admire the fact that you are a high performer and your high level of professionalism, in just the way that you're doing things from day to day, or if it's your leadership. And I describe a leader as a person that knows the way, that goes the way, and shows the way. And I have watched you align with some very difficult people to align with. I have watched you align with this person with this notion of being a VIP. And so I just have one question for you, like, as we tap into this whole idea of aligning with someone, helping our patients, what's your secret? What's your secret to connecting as fast as you do and developing those deep and lasting bonds? I don't. There's just something about the way that you do that I admire it, and I've never had an opportunity to ask you
Well,
your
thank
secret.
And well, I don't know if it's a secret. I'm happy to tell anybody, and know that we're going to do other webinars like this. So so look for, if you're watching this on replay, look for the recording, and look for the next one. We're going to do another one along the same lines of supporting people through solutions. And what is my secret? My secret is, number one, whenever I go into work, I really think about the outcomes I want. So I say to myself, I am going to listen with my ears and my heart. I'm going to look with my eyes. I'm going to offer the best solution for this person that they are asking for when I see them. So that I'm just creating focus for my brain to pick up on cues from my patient. So I'm just reminding myself before every day in the clinic that I want to support people at the highest level. And then I'm so grateful that they come to seek support from me. And then, thanking them for coming, and then just asking questions about what they want, why they want it, and, who do they want it for? So those are some big questions that I start with. And then from there, their answers are going to lead me down the path. And I always say, if my patients don't get better, if they don't understand what I've told them, if they don't, they're not getting the results they want, then it's my responsibility. I have not communicated what I feel would support them well enough. So if they come to me and they're still not feeling, they're not feeling like they're progressing, I'm going to seek a different solution, a different path, right? I have not communicated to them well enough if they're not understanding what I proposed in the first place. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think we would have been missing out on a treat if you had not had an opportunity to answer that question. So thank you so much for playing along with me,
You
Denise.
are most welcome. Well, like I said, I could be here for hours. So those of you here, Ali, Marsha, and others, thank you so much for coming. When you're watching this on replay, please put comments below. These are going to live on YouTube, and come and join us for the next one. We're going to have more discussions about the models we use, and really using them to support you getting to your truest self, and support you with solutions that get you to better relationships, better outcomes in your health, better outcomes in your career. If you're shifting identities, you're going from one career to another, or retirement, or, we're here to support you. So thank you for playing, and we will see you next time. Lonnie, love you. We'll see you again.
I
Thanks, Alex.
appreciate you. Love you right back, Denise.
Bye.